Good morning, everybody. John Spielke here for GAI Insights with our Gen AI news briefing. Interesting new open availability of AI training that we'll tell you about later. And we're joined today by Ashish Bhatia over at Microsoft, Tim Andrews over at Manat, and one of our AI analysts, Luda and Paul, and of course, Ankash Honda. All right, let's get at it. Ankash.
Good, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from OpenAI. So OpenAI has launched OpenAI Academy, which is a free AI learning platform for everyone.
Yeah, freely available for everyone across the globe. Kind of interesting, market development thing. What'd you think here, Tim?
I think this is at least important, if not essential, for most organizations because beyond the do-gooder kind of global nature and free platform, it's free for everybody, and that means, as we've discussed many times, since education is a primary need right now, this is something you need to be aware of and at least evaluate and take advantage of if it's good. I took a brief glance at one course, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. So it's free, right? Price is right, and I credit them for at least attempting to get some education out there. And I think every organization needs education, so I'd probably say essential.
All right, we have an essential here. What do you think, Ashish? Obviously a sister company of yours.
um, I'm kind of aligned with Tim, and not maybe not essential, but my opinion is the same, right? That AI education is fundamentally important. AI is going to touch every aspect of our lives, right? And then it is important for people to understand fundamentals. Most importantly, how to use it in your daily life and take advantage of it. So, any efforts around education are applauded, I would say.
All right, we're headed toward essential here. Luda, what'd you think?
Absolutely essential. So at the event that Paul organized yesterday, AI Woodstock in Boston, there were a lot of people, and one of the common question I heard: if you want to learn, upskill yourself, where do you start? How do you do it? So this is a tool, open platform, and it's from the very, you don't know anything, you go from about AI and you go up into technical details. This will become better and better. So I really think it's essential.
All right. All right. Paul, you good? We're headed for essential. I think it's absolutely essential. All right. Great news from our friends at OpenAI. Next, Ankash. Oh, also for the audience, don't forget we've got the articles are at GAI Insights /articles. And you can also please like and subscribe on whichever platform you're on. All right. Ankash, next.
Okay, the next one comes from Anthropic. Anthropic has introduced Claude for Education.
All right, we're staying on the education theme here. We got Claude for Education. What'd you think, Ashish?
It feels like today's a learning day, right?
Right.
Again, absolutely important, and I truly believe that we need to train, educate the next generation workforce deeply in AI, and I think they're starting at the right place, starting with educational institution, universities and college. Interestingly, Northeastern is on the list. Some super,
Yep.
super. They're making Cloud available to all students, almost like creating an EDU version of it, or an EDU SKU of it. So again, super interesting. I applaud this effort again. Any effort around education is to be applauded, should be applauded.
All right, so we're looking at important here.
Important.
Right? Yeah. Paul, what'd you think?
Yes, I actually had essential for one of the reasons that I don't think AI leaders are educating their executives enough on what the expectation of the new hires is coming in. I was at Harvard Business School last week here. These students are using this stuff all the time. and they're going in the workforce here, and they're expecting companies to embrace it, and they're finding corporate America where most companies, less than 10% employees, have access to secure employee chatbots. The executives aren't aware of this here, so this absolutely will be decision making. Your embracing of this is a key decision making things, particularly for your technical talent you're trying to hire. So I think this is essential for AI leaders to be aware of.
I wouldn't argue with the idea of talent really wanting this and it being an essential issue from that perspective. I think this is very different from the first article. If you're in education, this is essential. If you're not in education, I don't think this is available. I looked on Claude, and because I was very interested in particular in the learning mode, and it's not available just in the general model. This is strictly for educational institutions. So I think it's important. I wouldn't categorize it the same way as the prior article, just because this is targeted at the educational market. I think your point is a good one. I don't think this article, you have to read through the tea leaves of this article to get to that point, though.
Yeah, I'm with Tim, John. I think it is different, but it's still important because, to Paul's point, we absolutely have to, or the leaders need to know who they're hiring and what they know in AI, right? So, but this is a platform from Anthropic that they can turn into educational for enterprises that I think they will. They're just not announced it yet because it's all the elements are there, but it's different from the first article. So important.
So actually, I wanted to add something, John. What Paul said, right? We're actually hiring for AI, Gen AI, data science kind of role, and it's a very small pool. A lot of resumes which are coming along are traditional ML people, and again, the understanding of Gen AI and how you tune Gen AI, how you prompt Gen AI, so that's very small. So again, the education for the next generation of workforce is going to come from stuff like this, I feel.
All right, Paul, it sounded like you were going to do a rejoinder there when Tim said it should be important.
No, I thought Tim had a good argument. I can support Tim's argument for important and not essential.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to head for important on this one, Akash. It's funny, reviewing this thing, I'm reminded of a comment somebody made when I was teaching in the exec ed programs at Harvard Business School. He said, John, I have to tell you, there's things I love about this program and things I hate. I said, okay, let's start with what you love. Great education, wonderful, all kinds of new thinking and so forth. I said, okay, what do you hate? He said, this is like being on an aircraft carrier in a jet going in the catapult. He said, but the problem is when I hit the end of the deck, I don't go into the air. I hit the wave. I'm going to go back into my organization. It's going to be just so hard. And that's, I think, a lot of young
That's
people
good.
have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next, Ankash.
The next one comes from Luma AI, and they have introduced camera motion concept.
Yeah, this is, as somebody who actually is old enough to have taped together 16 millimeter film, watching this thing is, on an editing deck, watching this is just spectacular. Yeah, but, our friends are creating fantastic new things. Luda, what'd you think?
Yeah, this is fantastic. So what this is they experimenting with the notion of concept or motion concept. So you take you present to the model a couple of pictures, of couple of images or videos of the move forward or a zoom in, and then the model learns that concept and then can reproduce it on a still or another video. So this is incredible, but I think it's optional. We talked about for AI Leader, because we talked about the video platforms maturing, and there's really no excuse to not start using them for branding, the marketing and the like. So because they are really becoming really, really good. But as a general rule, this is like everyday miracle again. So optional for me.
All right, everyday miracle optional. What do you think, Hirashish?
Agreed with Luda. That's what I thought when I mean, the way I think about this is these are Lego pieces coming into this video generation, video creation workflow. And this is one additional kind of dial available to the folks so that they can kind of create the concepts, create the story that they want to tell. But again, for AI leaders, optional use, I feel. John, you're mute.
John, you seem to be on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, we're headed for optional. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, that's where I was. Everyday miracle. It's astonishingly beautiful. It appears to be a move forward in control. You know, it's a product announcement. You can easily get taken in by the pictures, but it's not entirely clear how much difference this will make. It'll make some. And again, it's strictly in video creation, which if you're in video creation, this is essential. But outside of that, I would say optional. Yeah. I'd
All
love
right,
to know
Paul.
how they did it, which they
Yeah.
didn't talk about.
No.
Yeah, which is too bad. I'm sure you can find it. The Paul, you go to optional. All right, optional it is. Ankash next.
Okay, the next one that we have is a Substack post by Helen Toner, and she talks about long timelines to advanced AI have gotten crazy short.
All right, so here we have an argument about when we thought it was long timelines, we didn't worry about it, but said that we should really worry about this fantastic new technology when it comes around. Now those long timelines are short, so I think her argument is making it more urgent. But what do you think here, Tim?
Well, this is Helen Toner, who was one of the former board members of the original nonprofit OpenAI, who got kicked off. I think she needs to level up her writing, maybe go back to OpenAI, because I found this a little bit wandering and a little bit confusing. And she has a good point. And at the end, she makes some, I think, excellent suggestions. It's hard for me to recommend this paper because it's just a meandering, wandering thing. It does make a few good points about the lack of definition and the need for attention more broadly into where this is going. But the argument construction is pretty weak in the middle. So I'd say, optional.
Yeah, sub robot for sure. What do you think, Rajesh? Optional, you go with that?
Yeah, optional.
All right, Paul, I know you're not going to pull us out of the optional fire, so we're going optional.
No, but in the gossip parlor, games and ship, there was a pretty extensive view this last weekend in Wall Street Journal about all the drama on the firings and everything else. So if you're really into the boardroom drama, it's a well-researched article, but definitely optional in this one.
Yeah, the scary thing to me is that people of such important responsibilities have such poor thinking ability, because this is just really, this is an expose in idiocy, in my opinion.
Yep. And that is, I've been saying it, pounding the table, and I'll keep pounding the table. It is not a great idea to have your research outsourced to random commercial institutions.
Let's give some due respect to Helen, but optional, right?
Why give due respect? She's got great responsibility, and she's not
Well,
bearing it well.
sometimes, you don't necessarily put out your best work. It happens.
But come on, you're the person who is supposed to be the key board member on a key issue.
But she's also human.
Yeah, I'm human too, but this is like I would.
It's no reason not to critique the writing.
Yeah,
they're not saying.
I'm not
This is what we always say to
to
our children is, we're not saying we don't like you. We're saying we don't like this particular behavior.
Exactly. That's okay. I mean, it happens, but she has accomplished a lot of things, and
yeah, but this is
give her respect for
this is the great dilution of criticism, in my opinion. It's like people assume that you're attacking the person, and if you attack their work is crappy. Their work is crappy. It has nothing to do with them as a human.
No. I agree.
Yeah, that's the essential part of advancement. When people say, what's a high performing team? My definition is they can scream at each other and throw erasers all day and then go out for dinner at night and be friendly.
Yeah.
Anyway, the art of criticism has been duly weakened, I believe. But anyway, this
Okay.
particular piece, this particular piece, I would not recommend for sure. Next.
The next one is a research paper which talks about harnessing the reasoning economy and is a survey of efficient reasoning for large language models.
Yes. Okay. We've got some bouncing around here on harnessing the reasoning economy. What do you think here, Ashish? And
Firstly,
feel free to go hard, Adam.
yeah, I mean, my takeaways were kind of less from it. It's a research paper. It's a long paper. Again, people should take time to read if they're interested. But the 2 or 3 main arguments that they make is there is LLMs which have system 1 thinking, which are fast and they just spit out stuff. And then there are reasoning models, which are system 2 thinking, which is slow down, think, chain of thought, and then kind of produce, reflect, and then produce the outcome. And there is inefficiencies and inaccuracies kind of in both places. And how do we kind of bring the best of both worlds so that LLM generations are efficient, but at the same time have reasoning kind of built into it. So they talk about a few strategies of post-training and test time stage and things like that. But again, if you're into model building, then maybe it's interesting for AI leader. I would think it's an option use.
All right, we're looking at optional. What do you think here, Luda?
Yeah, I was between optional and important. Granted, this is for people who are working on training LLMs, post-training and tuning them, right? But this is in a whole bunch of big companies. Some of that is happening. And this is a pretty comprehensive discussion of what exists right now, what the flaws are, how you can combine the post-training and real-time resources optimization, where inefficiencies are. I thought that this is very good educational piece, and that's why I was into important category. So that's what I can offer for this one. So probably, I mean, we can rate it optional, that's okay, but I think we should, I thought that it's good to flag it as a compendium and a good comprehensive analysis of what's out there and what the inefficiencies are currently.
All right, Luda's putting us on the fence or on the wall between optional and important. Paul, Tim, which way should Humpty Dumpty go?
I was sort of on the important side because again, what I would normally say, well, normal is the wrong word. What I would say in the ideal state is this is a great academic survey, and for anybody doing research in this area, this is a must read. Since we don't really have a well-organized academic research and a lot of it's happening in commercial companies, I think it's important because the commercial companies need to be aware of this. And Luda's right. It's a good survey piece in general. Most AI leaders, if you're not building your own models or you're not running large scale things already, it's not critical because you're not going to be involved at this level. And the amount of spend you have, you're not going to be able to affect by reading this paper. But this is where we're headed, and I think it's an important paper for that reason for those building these models and for large companies that are doing their own fine tuning and things. This will start to become more important as the costs start to mount.
All right, Paul, we're headed for important. What do you think?
Important. I'm on important, and the chart we're showing right now, I think, is a good one. If AI leaders got one to look at, this is one to get their head around.
All righty, important it is. Ankash, next.
Next one again comes from Anthropic, and it talks about how Canva is empowering employees across their teams with Claude.
Yes, here we go. Canva top down starts using Claude. Actually, has a multi-model environment, but people like Claude. What do you think here, Luda?
Yeah, this is an interesting use case. And I liked it because it talked about a couple of really good best practices. One is to provide all kinds of models, right? And get employees to figure out which one is best. And that's what they did. And another one is to enable the discussions and best practice sharing with the Slack channel specifically dedicated to that task. So people use it and share what they've accomplished and how they accomplished that. And that's, I thought, those two best practices are worth a note. And so that's why I rated it as important. But it's a light article, so I can be swayed into optional.
All right, we're between optional and important, kind of heading to important. What'd you think here, Paul?
I mean, we use Canva internally in Slack, as well as multiple tools in Claude here. I'm really bullish on the AI leader understanding development on how teams are using these new tools across existing applications. So here we have Slack and Canva as existing applications, new tools in a team environment here. So I think that theme is really, really important here, because I think I assert that the whole notion of the employee productivity interface is radically changing, and it's moving much more towards this AI thing where traditional apps are getting pushed in the background and you move into collaboration. And so in that sense, I think a trend, I could even go essential, but definitely supportive of important.
All right.
Yeah, and Ankash, if you can scroll down to where they're using it, like design prototyping, component building, product visualization, this is like in the fiber of Canva, right? This is not the chatbot assistant like do this for me on the side. This is really in the product pipeline development. So I just think this is important.
All right.
Yeah,
Tim,
I agree. I think important. I wish they had gone into a little more detail again. I'm going to encourage everybody to read the AWS use cases, because it's a good use case. And this particular thing here is great because, as you said, Ludit, it shows, I think, very interesting business use cases, not just, well, they're all business use cases, but core business use cases in core business processes. So that's important. I have to push back a little bit and say I'm not sure just giving all the people all the models and hoping they pick the right one is a great plan. We could call that kind of a cargo cult mentality. If the people don't know anything about what the tools they're getting, their ability to evaluate them is pretty limited. But this is a more sophisticated group, I suspect, and that's the way it's going to happen. So I wouldn't call it a best practice, but I would say this is still a good use case.
Good point.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, I agree with you, right? This is a highly skilled set of people.
Right.
And the point about self-organizing, right? I mean, you give them this multi-environment, kind of multi-vendor situation, and what works best for them, they will figure out using this kind of democratized use of AI. I thought that was super interesting for me. Maybe not a recipe for every organization because, again, their skills could vary. But other than that, and I feel that they left the detail of the use case intentionally because this is in the fabric of how the employees in this organization use it across a broad range of scenarios. So important.
All righty. Important it is. Ankash, let's get to the ultimate article.
Sure. The last one comes from OpenAI, and it's a research paper around an evaluating framework called Paper Bench.
Yeah, very interesting here. And, as I understand it, essentially, can we create AI to replicate the findings of ML, AI, and Gen AI papers in academia, which, of course, is the gold standard for checking on whether or not a paper has a robust finding? Can someone else replicate it? And this one, shows that they get to about 20%. So what do you think, Tim?
I think the topic area is crucial. I think for the general AI leader, again, this is probably optional. It's an interesting approach. I applaud OpenAI for plowing this much money into this topic. We'll see if they actually do become a for-profit if this continues, but I think it's a good paper. And I wish they had done it around biology, because it would be an order of magnitude more important if you could begin to replicate results in lab testing, which I think seems possible based upon what they did here. So I think it's really interesting. If you're interested in a good read and you have the inclination for it, it's a good weekend read, but I don't think it's required for most AI leaders. So I would say optional.
Well, let me make the case for important, because and I hear you about the biology thing. I'm not sure it's more important, because if we're getting to a world, which I think we are, where the algorithms are going to come up with new ideas for papers, those papers are going to be published by the robots, and then if they can be replicated by other robots, or if you take any scientific finding and you can replicate it, I would think you'd want to start in ML and AI, because that's the thing that will amplify everything else. So I don't know. I think this is a huge. I think it's a huge issue, and because this is, to me, the calculus of improvement. Right? It's not the thing itself. It's not even the process of the thing itself. It's the ability to improve the process of improving, which has got huge amplification effects. So I was going to give it an important, but what do you think, Luda?
Yeah, I hear you, and I think you can make this argument, and I agree. However, I rated it firmly optional for the more technical reason. See, it is a hugely laborious process that they went through, and to put together those trees, to label them with weights, and to really be able to evaluate the work, right? I think it's way too laborious. We should be able to get better. I agree that the topic is essential. We need to figure out how we evaluate and replicate what humans do in the systems. But this is, for me, a mass fail. So 20%, and with this laborious structure underneath, it's not the way we're going to go. I'm sorry, OpenAI, but it's just like my personal opinion.
But isn't the labor in doing the evaluation by humans so that you can validate the outcome of the model?
Yeah, but again, what I'm saying is we should be able to find mechanisms that do that for humans, communicating where the critical points are and building those trees with less labor than what this paper suggests.
Yeah, but having reviewed papers, it's the best we have. You know what I mean?
But it's a massive fail, 20%.
I think it's a massive triumph.
No, that's not a massive fail in my mind, because you need lots of room for grading. And if you start out with something where the robots are getting 70, 80%, it's not going to last very long. It's going to saturate very quickly. I don't have any problem with that.
But maybe I'm misunderstanding this paper, but to be able to replicate the findings of to be able to automatically replicate, not evaluate, replicate the findings of important new papers in ML and AI, and to get 1 in 5 right, that is amazing. That's not a fail. That's a triumph.
Well, anyway. Yeah, you could look at it this way. I would have liked to have the score with all this labor better. But I guess you have
But again, we don't have an alternative.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And again, it's a scalable approach. The labor is up front to construct the evaluation, and that is an issue. But compared to the human labor of evaluation, it's still much, much better, and it's done and can scale across any number of evaluations of this stuff.
All right.
Maybe Ashish can break.
Yes, help us out of the wilderness here. But quickly, because we're getting to 30 minutes. Yes.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I feel super interesting subject. I mean, this is the subject of the future. How do AI kind of navigate this labyrinth of information and improve over time? But again, for the average AI leader, I would say optional topic. But I'm with you, John, on this, right? The ability to parse through all these papers, replicate some of these results, and evaluate them, super important and big step up.
All right. Paul, anything urgent to say here? We're running out of time.
No, but I do want to highlight, John, I thought your calculus of improvement statement was a really important one. I do want to put a yellow highlighter on that because I do think that's really an important concept on exponential improvement and growth in all these models here. So well said.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the power of the chair. We're going to make this baby important. Sorry about that, Luda. All right.
Okay. I'm with you.
If you give it, all right, Akash, if you give us a tote. Paul, you want any report? Paul and Luda, any report from the meetup last night?
Let's
Yeah,
Michael, I mean, we had 275 people RSVP on LinkedIn Luda, at least 100, 150. I mean, the energy was through the roof. I met a whole bunch of technical people here. People are just thirsting to meet and talk and calibrate this AI movement. So we're going to do more of these, and it's really great for the folks here in the Boston AI community. We're really starting to build a thriving community across these groups and silos.
Yes, and for anyone who wants to understand how to put together an AI Woodstock, just contact us. Paul invented the idea, and it's really taken off, and he can give you the simple rules of the road to make it happen. All right, so we've got one essential, we got 4 importance and 2 optionals here. All right, got a pretty busy reading week, and hope this has been useful to you folks. Don't forget to subscribe and like as we push this channel forward, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning. Bye-bye now.
And thanks, Ashish, for joining.